like that. You know, there's some scenarios that stick with you throughout your lifetime. Like seeing your dad get put in handcuffs, and that's when it really starts to get to you. Like that's when depression will kick in, sadness will kick in, loneliness, you know what I'm saying? Like, and all kinds of things will kick in just because you're like, you don't know how to deal with that situation. So like me, the way I deal with it now is just like, I look at it, it's like, man, he was fighting his own demons at the time. He had his own addiction going on. I can't blame the dude because, you know, I've had my addiction going on too, you know what I'm saying? I knew what he went through. I know how he felt. So it's like, I understand him a lot more now that I grew up, you know what I'm saying? And I do, sometimes I hate the fact that he wasn't there for me like growing up, and you know what I'm saying? Like that I couldn't have a really good bond. But I look at it like, hey, you grew up now, time to look forward in life. It's a new chapter.
Whether you're inside looking out or outside looking in, incarceration rules your world, especially for the children of the incarcerated. Suddenly, there's a chain link and walls between them and mom or dad. For me, it was my dad. What happened next? Life became a whirlwind of instability. I mean, I never knew what was going to happen, never knew where I was going to stay at, which family member I was going to be given to, for how long. Maybe my mom dropped me off at a grandma's house. Maybe she'd come back and get me in a month. Maybe she'd come back and get me in a year. For Zaylin, it was her mother, Ty. But Ty was so ashamed by her incarceration. Zaylin was told that she was her Aunt Neek, not her mother. It took years for Ty and her sister Amber, who adopted Zaylin, to tell her that Aunt Neek was really her mother. And so once you found out that Aunt Neek was mom, did you guys tell her that who you were as well? Mm-hmm. Aunt? And has that changed anything for you? Do you feel differently now when you go visit Aunt Neek?
How does it make you feel?
Kinda happy, but not really.
How come?
Because I call you mommy, and Nick is my real mom.
And so, was she aware of how long Nick was going to be incarcerated?
I mean, we tell her she's gonna be there for a very long time, and you know, she'll be an adult when, you know, that Zaylin will be an adult when she gets out. And
how do you feel about that?
do you like going to see Aunt Nick?
Mm-hmm.
How does it make you feel when we go in there?
I don't know.
Is it confusing? Yeah.
It is kind of confusing.
What's confusing about it?
That I don't know which one to call Mama, because you two are both my moms, Nick and you.
I only get to see my sister like once every couple months, sometimes longer than that, and that makes me feel bad because I feel like I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. I need to do something, you know, and there's occasional phone calls, but, you know, 20 minutes here and there isn't much when you're used to talking to somebody every single day. Can't always do it, so it just makes it hard not being able to reach out like I used to, and, you know, when we go, it just seems like the visits are never long enough.
I think I used to cry every single time I had to leave until one day my dad said, baby girl, you're gonna get to see me again, but it's just gonna be in here. Mm-hmm. You know, you're just leaving and going home, and I'm staying here. And when I was younger, that kind of worked. As I got older, my dad did not want me coming because he didn't want me to think that, in his mind, he didn't want me to think that that was okay. Did any of this affect your relationship negatively or positively with your sister?
I try to be there for her, but I don't like to. I always feel like I have to defend her when I explain, our life and our situation and stuff to people. I feel like I always have to defend her because I always did growing up. I was the older sister, so, and I still feel like that today. And sometimes I battle with myself. I never told anybody this. Sorry. Being there for her and being. Sorry. Between being there for her and being angry and mad at her just because of the situation itself. And I always like to push those feelings back because I am always the main one and only one there for the most part. Because without me, she would really have no one.
So, along with taking responsibility for the baby, you've had to carry the emotional scars of all of that.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
I never even told my sister that.
Trauma for Zaylin and her two mothers will never really go away. They'll just learn to live with it, as I did, as so many millions of us do. The United States is 5% of the Earth's population, but 25% of all people in the world who are behind bars in America. Our prison population has grown from 300,000 in the 1970s to 2.2 million inmates today, and 5 million children with parents in prison. 3 out of 4 of these children will end up incarcerated themselves. Our children are our future.
We have zip codes in Oklahoma City that have 90% of the kids have a parent in prison. They're all over our state. They're all over our cities. Kids need to feel love. They need to have a loving, trusting relationship with parents. Many of the children in Oklahoma who have parents in prison don't have any of that.
Just a really fantastic intervention in the prison systems. We go in and videotape prisoners who give a message of love and encouragement to their child. And then we burn a DVD and we send the message on the DVD and a book to the child at home, and the child gets to see their parent as many times as they want. They play it over and over again.
There you are, I found you. Are you ready for story time? Touch my hand and we're gonna hold hands and just know I love you, and just remember Mommy has her bracelet on. I hope you have your bracelet on, and I love you guys so much.
The Swihart family is one of many success stories from Sherry's organization, now called the Oklahoma Messages Project. Keeping incarcerated parents connected with their children is still its primary mission. But Sherry and her group have found that this also helps boost the children's interest in reading and school, and that is crucial to hope for these children, because education is the key to keeping them off the pathway to prison.
This is kind of full circle for me. I'm a child of an incarcerated parent, and the fact that we really dig into that demographic and are really trying to change those kiddos' lives, that's been what's kept me here probably. When I was younger, I never really thought much of the future, but you still have kind of that waiting, and you don't want to get your hopes up too high because you know how quickly things can be taken out from under you. My stepdad went away, but and he's supposedly getting the help that he needs, but then there was nothing for my mom and for me, and so nobody to tell us that there's this mentoring program out here. There's these programs out here that can help you. Mentoring has been shown to be the #1 deterrent for these kids that are children of incarcerated parents. So if they've have had or still do have a parent that's incarcerated. And so we do just make sure that they have that one person that's gonna be consistent, that's gonna do what they say they're gonna do, and show up. Their littles and bigs start being family, and then it's not even like they're taking any time away from their lives at all because they're just ingrained in their lives now. And that's what we're wanting to do, is make an impact on these kids, on our littles, that is going to change their life and something that they're going to take with them forever.
Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Oklahoma made about 1,200 matches last year. Each one can be life-changing for a child. The problem is we have over 96,000 children with incarcerated parents here in Oklahoma. Most end up in public schools, swept up in constant battles for funding.
As you look at public schools today, we have kids that really do face a lot of variety of traumas. So trauma is really, and as we look at students who are in this situation with parents that are incarcerated, these students particularly have not only the impact of what other kids are facing, you know, larger classrooms, the things that we talk about all the time in schools. They are being somewhat double and tripled challenges because the other support services that they need are also being minimized. We need mental health services. We need DHS to be engaged. We need corrections to be engaged. You know, how do we partner with people in corrections to make sure these students are being are integrated somehow with their families? I think that what people don't understand is that that people that are incarcerated and then we have their kids in schools are no different than the kid that has a parent that lives down the block from you and is at home every day. The people are the same. Their circumstances are different. And I think sometimes it's very hard for people to separate circumstances from people. And I think it's really important that we do that we value people for who they are, and then we help address the fact that they've had circumstances that have led them down different paths.
They're hurt. They're hurting inside. They're in pain. They're scared. They don't know how to respond. And so you may see someone that acts pretty tough and I don't care, but you have to know this teen, this child has had some experiences that I hope very few people have to experience. But we know in Oklahoma, we have thousands of children that are faced with these issues.
It started my junior year of high school. Things just started to get really bad at home. My dad wasn't around. He's been in and out of prison my entire life. I mean, he was in jail just like 3 weeks ago. I was living with my mom. Well, she was on drugs. And so my junior year, I was 16 and I moved out. It's been emotionally hard. I mean, I've had to work with a counselor because, I mean, the anxiety that goes with it, the worry and the fear, and it's still hard. There are some days that are just hard because I don't understand why my parents aren't around. I mean, I still don't. You know, I mean, I'm 19 years old and I don't understand why they're not around. You have to realize that wasn't your fault, especially when you're a kid. You have to realize that you had no control over your parents and that they were gonna do whatever it is that they were gonna do. And you just have to keep repeatedly telling yourself that over and over again. And there are some things where honestly, like I've just swept it underneath the rug and I'm not gonna deal with it. Or I haven't dealt with it yet, where it's just gonna stay underneath that rug until I'm ready for it to come out.
I was riding through Arkansas this morning, just to give you a good example, and I came from Fayetteville up to Fort Smith, and it was beautiful. And I thought, you know what? I would have never gotten to see this if I had never ran into those people, if I had never chosen to go take a certain route in life. I may not have gotten to see this. And so one of the things that I probably have learned is that you have to be grateful, but you have to take every opportunity you can to make yourself better, whatever that is, for you. Because statistically, there was nothing saying I would be no different than my parents. In the penitentiary multiple times, have children, they be in the system or they be passed around the family members. But those people that I came across left enough of an impression that I got it. I didn't get it all, and I didn't get it all at one time. Most children don't have that. They don't have anybody in their lives to tell them to go left or go right. They don't have anybody in their lives to help them make decisions or guide them toward the right decisions. So you cannot just believe that
you did this all by yourself. There's no way that can happen. There has to be somebody to guide, somebody to give some kind words, somebody to do something to further you down this track of life.
Nobody expects anything from these kids but us. The fact that we can even graduate anybody. Once you get a good understanding of what we receive here and what we work with here, is any student that graduates is an amazing standalone success story that somebody should write a book about. Every single student.
They're sad. They're all sad, and they continue to carry it. And as they grow older, it turns into more and more anger. And that sadness came from trauma. Like, they're always afraid that the shoe's gonna drop, like something bad is gonna happen. And it's because of that specific moment when their parents got arrested, and it blindsided changed their entire life. From that moment on,
I got robbery with firearms, larceny, a stolen vehicle, and possession of CDS. If I don't get my act together in these 30 days, I got till June 15th. If I don't, you know what I'm saying, stop what I'm doing, I can go to prison.
I'm incarcerated because I was with my best friend and we robbed the prostitute, and we got charged with robbery with a dangerous weapon and concealing stolen property and robbery by 2 or more persons.
Yeah. I've been in this system for like years now, but I never got out of the system for assault. But I'm back, like, I'm in the system because I went home from Mustang Treatment Center. I went home from there, and with my mom, I found some stuff that she was doing, and I didn't like it. So I ran from my mom. I didn't want to be with her. I tried to went to school, but I got arrested, and so whenever I got arrested, I was supposed to go to court and get released and go back home, but my mom didn't show up to the court. I didn't hear nothing from her whenever I finally found a placement in my father's hometown, which was Eufaula, Oklahoma, and I stayed with a married couple. I just wanted to keep doing what I was doing before, because like, what did it matter? I never heard from my mom. I kept getting locked up. My brothers never called. I didn't have no contact with no one. My dad was still in prison. Like, I had no contact with no one. So I just kept doing what I was doing. I ended up getting arrested, and they came and got me. They let me back into their home, and I started smoking cigarettes again. And finally, they just told me that I have one more chance in their house, and I would have nowhere else to go. So I just left. I ended up going to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and started robbing people, just random people, and taking their cars and just trying to like sell drugs and get money and just get drugs and sell money and get money and just do all types of stuff so I can get on my own feet and just start living by myself independently without failing, because my mom was there just to take all my things and just go sell it or pawn it or get money for it or just go use it and buy drugs and light that light bulb up that had the straw duct taped to the straw and smoked it. And now I don't have nobody on my call list because I feel like I don't need them. I feel like I can get through this whole program by myself, and I feel like I'm gonna do it. And whenever I do it, I just want to tell them, like, I did it, and I did it without y'all. So
I was having to grow up awful fast. I was embarrassed and ashamed that my dad was in prison, and all my freshman teammates are going to know and read about it and know about it. And I had the inferiority complex. I didn't have much self-image and all those type of things, which is created by me, mostly. So I had a lot of hang-ups, but I outgrew them. And how I did that was because of the fact that I realized people don't judge me by the actions of my parents. They judge me by how I behave and act and treat others. And I believe you all know that. And you know what? It's always the situation whether you can be crude, you can be obnoxious, you can be rude, you can be all those negative things when you behave in the presence of others and the way you treat others, or you can be nice. I've always tried to be nice and kind and do the right thing to people. And I've always tried to be gracious and do what my mama would have liked. A couple of things happened along the way. My mother committed suicide. I was there the night, I heard the shot. She lived a tough life. My dad was murdered. He was shot by his black girlfriend, caught him with another black woman. So I lost parents along the way and experienced some emotional things that most people don't. Picked my mother up, carried her in, laid her on the bed. I always thought that I was the reason because I didn't kiss her that night because she was on drugs. Her eyes were glassy, alcohol, and all she wanted me to do was kiss her goodnight. And I was so hurt by the way she was that I refused because I told her, I said, I'd rather never see you again and know you're safe and well and then see you like this nearly every night. That's the life she lived in the world of fiction, read all the time. She was ostracized, but my not knowing that so much, being a young kid growing up, but she was ostracized like I was with the people in town, and not anything that she's done, just because of she was married to the bootlegger's wife. That happened that night, and I remember it's like yesterday.
I found my daddy in prison. It felt like he was finally there, but still to this day, half of my life is still gone. Half of my life is still not complete. Half of my life is still missing. And I don't think it will ever be found. Because my dad, like my father, he was gone. Basically my whole childhood, he was gone. And my mother, her too. So I feel like it would never be found. So, and me feeling that way is gonna stick. I'm not gonna be complete. Like my life, I'm not gonna be complete. And that's not how that's not how a 17-year-old girl should feel.
We have got to stop our pattern of incarceration and shift more towards treatment and help. With what we continuously do, we are dumping money into a system that is flawed and not working. And then it affects these kids too. Because when we destroy the family unit and we take away the parents and don't provide help and support, then we break the family apart. And that whatever that was offering is gone.
We have to learn how to heal our children and teens because they are our future. And we want our future to be positive for Oklahoma.
Donate your time, donate your resources, or be like Robin, or be like Cherry, or be like others. Start your own and say, you know what, enough's enough. I'm going to have a school for children of incarcerated parents. I'm going to start videotaping reading time with inmates and children. Makes a huge difference, and the data supports it. It just, you just have to give yourself.
You try new things. You try new people. You try new ways to get in. You just try anything to try to help a kid. And that's just what you do. You just have to keep trying. That's it. What I love about them is that I also feel part of a family, you know, with them. I feel like myself. And they tell me the truth, even if nobody else does. They try their hardest with what they've been dealt, and it sort of makes me realize how lucky I was.
There's not a quick fix, there's not a step-by-step, but you know this, children that don't feel loved, don't feel supported, don't do well. I didn't make up that statistic, it just is what it is, and that's a proven fact. You don't have the tools because most times you don't, if you don't learn them, there's no love and support or guidance to help them. You got to give them that. We're going to have to find a way to give it to them, because if the waves of children keep coming in like they're coming, we're going to have a whole system full of children who are going to become adults and be in the same place as their parents. If they don't realize that they can make a different choice, if they don't realize that this is not about them, this is not their fault, you know, you have to give them some emotional support as well. You have to. Or we're just going to see generations and generations of people, you know, emotionally disturbed, abused, and what have you. It's going to keep coming. It ain't going to change unless somebody fixes it, or at least tries. Every little bit counts.
Hope. What gives me hope? Hope. Okay. You just gotta hold on. Pain ends. You get it? Hold on. Pain ends. HOPE. That's hope. Just keep going. And that can be the word of the year.